New concerns for the future of the free press tonight after major shakeups at one of America's most prestigious journalistic institutions. The new chief of CBS News, Bari Weiss, last week announced she is replacing the executive producer of 60 Minutes amid an exodus of top talent. Former New York Times columnist and tech journalist Nick Bilton will take over the show despite having no traditional TV news experience. CBS also fired correspondents Cecilia Vega and Sharon Alfonsi. Alfonsi was behind the high-profile segment on torture in Salvadorian prisons that Weiss pulled off the air last year. These are just the latest moves by Weiss and her billionaire boss, David Ellison, to overhaul CBS News operations. It's also a potential sign of how the few billionaires who control many major media companies are steering their newsrooms and editorial coverage. Joining us now is Lachlan Cartwright, founder of Breaker Media and contributing editor to Vanity Fair. So, Lachlan, this was a huge story, the shakeup at 60 Minutes, mainly because it is such a storied franchise. It still makes millions of dollars.
And their ratings are up this season 9%. They're averaging 9 million viewers. It's a ratings juggernaut. So it's kind of, one of those things. If it ain't broke, why are you fixing it? CBS does have problems. They're number 3 in evenings, so they've parachuted in Tony Dokoupil. That's not working. They've got big problems in mornings. But they're going to blow up the show that is the most successful program, that is the most watched and the most respected. And that is why this has become such a shock to people. I spoke to Steve Croft last Thursday, the respected correspondent. He spoke first to Breaker, and he said, I've been on the show 3 decades. I was always curious to see what happened next. I never thought it would be executed. And he said to me, well, there's no smoking gun. Trump's DNA is all over this. And look, we do know, and this is from my reporting, I first broke the secret dinner that David Ellison was having for Trump to honor Trump and the Trump White House before the White House correspondence in light of the other deal that's meant to go through for Warner Brothers Discovery. What else do we know? We know that Donald Trump has always raged against 60 Minutes. He sued the show for $10 billion, which resulted in that settlement. And so you start having to sort of put these pieces of the puzzle together and really ask, why does this show need these very serious changes at this moment? And as I was just coming on air tonight, guys, I was made aware from sources of a letter that is being put together that will go out tomorrow to David Ellison from CBS News staffers. And just quoting from that, they are asking David Ellison to respect editorial values and independent journalism. Now, that letter, there was a letter meant to go out last year. They decided at that point not to do it, but this letter is going to go out tomorrow to David Ellison from the staffers, because people I speak to within CBS are absolutely distraught about what is going on here.
One thing that I wonder about is this language that we keep hearing get used, and when we hear about these news organizations that are getting blown up, including my former employer. I used to work at the Washington, right? I used to work at the Washington Post. One of the mantras that has been stated there, but also at CBS News, is the need to restore trust. Restore trust. People don't trust the media, and it is absolutely true. People do not trust the media. But there's been a long-run decline in trust in institutions of basically every kind at this point. But media is certainly up there with the biggest victims of that, or perpetrators, depending on your perspective. What do you hear when you hear that phrase, restoring trust? What do you think is meant by that? And what do you think the actual objective or agenda is meant to be?
I think it's a nice little bit of window dressing. Let's talk about your former employer, the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos killed an endorsement of Kamala Harris. How does that go about restoring trust to their subscribers, to their audience, when you do something like this? You look at what Bari Weiss is doing, dismantling this show that is the top rating program. How is that restoring trust in media? So I think that's a nice little bit of cover that these people are allowed to sort of go out and say we're restoring trust, but there's nothing really that I've seen to back that up, and including the dismantlement of the Washington Post. And I think what happened there is Jeff Bezos realized Trump's coming back. I have a business. It's called Amazon, right, and it's not the Washington Post. And I need this bloke on board, as in Trump, for everything I need to do with Amazon, and therefore will allow the opinion desk to be dismantled told, to talk about personal liberties, will allow the newsroom to be gutted and 300 jobs to be lost. So how is that restoring trust?
No, it's not. Lachlan, I want you to talk about Nick Bilton. We both used to work at Vanity Fair, so we know him a little bit.
I currently am on the masthead, full disclosure. I'm a contributing editor at Vanity Fair.
I'm at the Times now, but I'm curious what we know him is. Do you feel that he has the bona fides for this job?
No. He has no television experience. He has no managerial experience. And when I've spoken to people in the last several days, including former colleagues at the New York Times and from Vanity Fair, they basically laugh about this. They say he was generally lazy. They say that he filed irregularly. And they say to me that it's very clear he got out of journalism to make a buck in screenwriting. What was Nick Bilton up to right now? He's writing a movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He has 8 agents, Nick Bilton. I've seen his type before. His type is the type that looks at a story and they look to monetize it. They look to say, I want to get a pitch out to my agent. I want to get the book or the movie deal. He's not interested in the journalism, and he's an opportunist. And probably he met Barry Weiss at a dinner party in Los Angeles and got along. And Barry said, I want you to come run 60 Minutes.
So why do you think Barry gave him the job?
Look, she wanted to get someone in from the outside to blow this up. 60 has always had a very close culture from the days of Jeff Fager, and through to Bill Owen. So if you want to dismantle the program, you're going to have to ice out the top 2 people. That's what she did on Thursday. Tanya Simon and her deputy lost their jobs in this bloodbath, and bring in an outsider to effectively blow it up, to blow up one of their most profitable and top-rating television shows.
Really quickly, do the fired correspondents have strong cases, do you think? And is CBS going to have to pay out these fired correspondents?
Well, in the case of Cecilia Vega, she still had a year to run on her contract, so they'll pay that contract out. Shalon Elafonte was an at-will employee, so she has less grounds. There are some sort of legal maneuvers in the background going on, but we'll have to see how that plays out in the coming days and weeks.
Lachlan Cartwright, thanks so much for your great reporting and for your insights tonight.
My pleasure. Cheers.